We continue now at the top of Daf Samech Vav Amud Beis in Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 66b. On the previous Amud, the Gemara said that according to Rabbi Eliezer, who says that when it comes to a Daf Shel Nachtomen, let's say you have a baker's board, as long as it's attached to the ground, we can be lenient and we can say it's considered to be part of the ground and it is not Mekabel Tumah. That's what Rabbi Eliezer says by the Daf Shel Nachtomen. And so there he's lenient, and the Gemara suggested that he's lenient because over there we're talking about Pshute Kliates, we're talking about something that is a wooden vessel that does not have a receptacle, and the tumah we're talking about is only midrabanan. That's why he's lenient, and he says tar. He says it's considered like it's part of the ground and it's pure, because again we're only talking about tumah midrabanan anyway, and that's why he is lenient. Whereas Rabbi Eliezer would say when it comes to a duct that runs water to the mikveh, so there we're only going to say that it's considered to be part of the ground if it was in the ground first and then you carved it out, you hollowed it out. But if you hollowed it out first and then attached it to the ground, so then Rabbi Eliezer would be machmir. He would not say it's considered to be part of the ground, rather he would say it's considered to be a vessel, which means it's drawn water, and it does disqualify the mikveh. And the premise of this explanation of saying that Rabbi Eliezer by the Daf Shel Nachtomen can be consistent with the Brisa by the case of mikveh, the premise is that when it comes to the case of mikveh to mayim she'uven, that is a psul on a doraisa level. And so the Gemara now continues and asks, V'akaimul under Rabbanan, haven't we established that the psul of mayim she'uven is only midrabanan? And this was already explained by the Rashbam on the previous Summit. The Rashbam said that once you have a kosher mikveh and then you add mayim she'uven, that's never going to be a psul on a doraisa level, because the mayim she'uven is going to be bottle in the mikveh. Rather, any psul that is going to occur in that situation is going to be a psul midrabanan. That's what the Rashbam said, and so therefore you can't answer that by mikveh it's doraisa. Rabbi Eliezer would be more machmir, and by the Daf Shel Nachtomen it's only tumah derabanan. He's more mekel. That's not going to work. And the Gemara continues, and furthermore, Ha'amar Rabbi Yossi ben Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina says, B'dav shel mateches machlokas, that actually, when we're talking about the baker's board, it was not a board of wood, in which case it's a tumah midrabanan. It actually was a board of metal, and that's where they were arguing. There's a machlokas over there again in the Mishnah Meseches Kalim, and so therefore you cannot answer that since it's only tumah midrabanan, that's why Rabbi Eliezer is mekel. That's not going to work if we're talking about a metal board. And so the Gemara says, Liolam really will answer exactly the opposite. Really Rabbanan, really the case over there of the Brisa by mikvos is actually the Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan are being more mekel than they usually are, like they are by the case of the Daf Shel Mateches. Meaning to say, by the case of the Daf Shel Mateches, the Rabbanan are saying that it is mekabel tumah, and they're being strict over there because it's a tumah doraisa. And the Rabbanan would say by the case of mikvos, v'shani she'iva derabbanan. It's different when you're talking about mayim she'uvim, because that's just a derabbanan. There we're saying mayim she'uvim is only derabbanan because you have a kosher mikveh to start with, and drawn water is added to that mikveh. The psul is only going to be midrabbanan, and that's why over there the Rabbanan will be lenient, and they'll say that in a situation where it was attached to the ground first and then hollowed out, then carved out, they'll say it's considered to be like part of the land and not considered to be a vessel, and they will be mekel. But the Gemara continues, Ihachi, if so, if you're going to say that the Rabbanan are mekel by mayim she'uvim because it's the Rabbanan, afilu chakaku levasof kavonami, let them be mekel even in a case where it was hollowed out first and then attached to the ground. There also they should be mekel because we're only talking about a psul midrabanan. And the Gemara answers to that, Shani Hasam, it's different over there. In a case of chakaku levasof kavo, it's different. We have to be strict. Deika toras kli olav betolish, because there already it's considered a vessel when it was detached from the ground. Attaching it from the ground is not going to change that. We're still going to be machmir in that situation. And the Rashbam explains, Ela liolam Rabbanan, rather the Brisa by mikveh is going to be the Rabbanan de dafu, meaning the Rabbanan that we find by the Mishnah Meseches Kalim, by the baker's board, udekasha loch gabetzino. And your question then is, by the case of the duct, afilu kavul of asov chakaku nami yifsol lemikveh. So then if it's the Rabbanan should say it's always going to passel the mikveh, even in a case where the duct was attached to the ground first and then hollowed out, it should still passel the mikveh the Rabbanan de metami le gabe daf, because by daf the Rabbanan always say tamei, v'chashivi le'kli b'chol inyanim, afilu b'kavul of asov chakaku. They consider it to be a kli, a vessel, in all situations, even if it was first fixed to the ground and then hollowed out. And so the answer to that is, like we said, shani she'iva derabbanan kedefarishis le'el. It's different when it comes to mayim she'uvin. That's only derabbanan, as I explained earlier. That's what the Rashbam explained on the previous Amud. Hilkach gabeit tzínor hu demikili rabbanan. Therefore, by the case of the tzínor by mikveh, the rabbanan are mekel v'amri eno posel b'kavul of asov chakaku. They say it does not disqualify the mikveh if it was first attached to the ground and then hollowed out. But when it comes to the baker's board, it's a tumasum and a Torah, where now we're saying it's a daf shal mateches, it's a tumah doraisa, liolam tameh. It's always going to be tameh. Afilu bekavul avasof tikno. Even in the situation where it was affixed to the ground first, still in that situation also, they're going to consider it to be a vessel. To svir luhu l'rabbanan, because the rabbanan hold the chol hamechuber l'karka. Just because something is attached to the ground, eno kakarka, that does not mean that it's considered like karka, like ground. And the Gemara continues, Boy Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef asks the following question, Mei geshamim, if you have rainwater, shechishev aleim l'hadiach it's deroblin, that the person wanted that it should fall on the lower millstone to rinse this millstone. So mahu l'zroim, what's the halach in terms of that rainwater? Can it be machshir the zroim, the seeds, to be mekabel tuma? And the Rashbam explains, Boy Rav Yosef, Mei geshamim shayu yordan v'chishev alein sheyadichu ha'etz deroblin. They're talking about rainwater here, where the person who owned the lower millstone, he wanted the rainwater to fall on the lower millstone in order to rinse it off, to clean it. What's the halacha? She'osam geshamim yachshiru zeroim im naflu alein lekabel tuma. Let's say that same rainwater fell also on seeds, and so the halacha is if rainwater falls on seeds that are considered detached from the ground, so then we say that it's a hechsher, it prepares it to be mekabel tuma. So over here it's falling on this lower millstone, which the person, again, he wants it to fall on the lower millstone, so it's nichole that it falls, which is one of the requirements for the hechsher lekabel tuma. But the question is, as we're going to see, whether the itzderoblin is considered attached to the ground or detached from the ground. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah in Machshir, and Kol Mashke Shatchilasa L'Ratzon, any of these Zayin Mashkim, the 7 liquids, if the person wants that liquid to fall, Afal B'Shein Sofa L'Ratzon, even if he wanted it only at the beginning and not at the end, Machshir, so the halach is it can be Machshir, can prepare food to receive Tumah, to be Makabel Tumah. V'Hachanami, here also came with the Nichalei B'Ridason L'Tzorach Itzderobel, since over here he wanted the rain to fall for the lower millstone, even though he didn't necessarily want it to fall on the produce, have a hechsher that would be considered a good hechsher l'kabel tumah. Uvilvad shehei it's the robel chashav ketolish, but it has to be, the only way this works is if the it's the robel is considered detached from the ground. The lo mahani machshavta v'lo karina beivachayitein alhecha demechashiv sheyardu al davar tolish. The halach is it's only considered to be a preparation l'kabel tumah if he's thinking that it's going to fall on something that is detached from the ground. So that's essentially the question over here with regards to the it's the roblin. And the Gemara continues, Alibud Rebbe Eliezer. Now, according to Rebbe Eliezer, the Yamrakala Mechuber Lekarka Hareu Kakarka, who says anything attached to the ground is considered to be like the ground, Loti Boilach, it's not even a question, then certainly it's considered to be like the ground, and it's not going to be a Hechshel Kabel Tumah, because you're not thinking that it's falling on something detached from the ground. Kiti Boilach Alibud Rabbanon. The whole question is only according to Rabbanon. The Amri Eino Kakarka, who say that it's not considered just because it's attached to the ground, it's not necessarily considered like Karka. What would be the halacha? And the Gemara says, Teiku, the Gemara leaves that as a question. And the Gemara continues, Shalach le Rav Nechemya Breider Rav Yosef, L'Rabba Breider Rav Huna Zuti L'Nahardoi. Rav Nechemya, the son of Rav Yosef, he sent to Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, the short one, to Nahardoi. He sent the following message, Ki Asyahach Itasal Kamach, when the following woman, when she comes before you, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Samech Zayin Amud Aleph.